We started from a table of people who are mostly concerned about environmental issues. So there was a bit of modesty going on at the beginning that, oh, I don't know much about social sustainability. But we started from the challenges that we saw in the group. First of all, we saw that there's an issue that we have numerous environmental sustainability challenges that can actually be solved with radical new technology, such as nanotechnology, filtering, and a lot of things that are getting really far, but they are being stopped for implementation by a lot of national bureaucracy. So the implementation is a bit frustrating for many enterprises because there is so much legalese that is in the way in getting to solving those problems. And another issue that we identified is that on both the individual and perhaps the organizational level, there is a lack of understanding of what this technology does, and it creates a fear of new technology. For example, there is the age-old idea that the robots are going to take over everyone's jobs, and then where will we be? And this has been an issue since the 60s, but that fear is still present out there in manufacturing and on the shop floor. And at the same time, there are these new issues that have to do with ICT technology, such as big data, surveillance, and the increasing automation, and where does all that data go? So we also identified that perhaps this techno-fear could be helped by more education in understanding that these new technologies are emerging and what they can actually do. So the perspective that we have chosen to tackle those issues are on the landscape level, because we kind of feel like these are concerns that cross over country borders, and a lot of the implementation that is hindered is because there is little harmonization between the regulations of different countries. So the actors who would be involved in this scenario that we have identified, which is the creation of an agency for socio-technical progress and innovation culture, meaning that they will work with changing culture and attitudes towards new innovative technologies. The actors are the policymakers who steer the bureaucratic hindrances, individuals who need to educate themselves to reduce their fear and misgivings of new technology. The technology developers themselves obviously need to be involved because a lot is at stake for them and their business case. And finally, also, the factories themselves that wish to implement these technologies are also an actor. So what is needed is some sort of agency that puts together the concerns of all these and starts harmonizing so that there is less in the way of innovation, so we can start tackling all the environmental challenges. So the goals we identified for this agency are to help decrease energy consumption in different forms, to encourage the ethical behavior and individual actions that lead to needing more energy and material consumption, so that on all levels this better behavior is encouraged. Supporting and facilitating innovation in enterprises and across different countries. And introducing and educating about new technology on a lot of different age levels, not just within industry, not just in engineering schools, but also perhaps all the way down to middle school. And the ideas we had were about introducing what is going on in ICT and nanotechnology, so the kids are not afraid of this when they grow up and become adults. So less fear and less bureaucracy was kind of the parole for our group. And finally, creating standards across countries to stop all this bureaucracy from hindering innovation. So we invented the slightly imposing name, the International Agency for Innovation Culture. And really, it's a kind of encouragement agency. It's supposed to support sustainable innovation, primarily to combat environmental challenges. And like I mentioned before, lessening bureaucracy is a major thing to achieve. And what this agency does is it links tech developers, policymakers, and different kinds of innovators with companies so that the needs for harmonization can be better understood and facilitated. There's also an educational mission for this agency, and it is to lessen the techno-fear and increase the motivation to solve environmental problems. Like I mentioned before, there's also an educational mission for school-age children to start this culture of innovation very early. And we also talked a little bit about the exchange of knowledge with developing countries. How can how can these attitudes and ideas, together with the knowledge, be spread to, for example, Brazil and developing countries that may benefit largely from having this attitude early? Some of the enabling factors are actually more on a philosophical level, and we got as far as to suggesting that music could be one of the enabling factors. This was very brainstormy at one period. And I would like to just point out the major enabling factors, which would be a harmonization of rules on the legal level, and working cross-country for implementation of new technology on the political level. And all the other things are kind of about how do we focus on doing good in order to do well. So the benefits we've identified are, of course, faster innovation, so that the bureaucratic hindrances are gone. Fostering a culture of innovation in individuals, because if there is no hindrance, then it becomes a business case and individual career path in itself. It will also have the benefit of keeping education up to date, because currently a lot of education is falling a bit behind because we're always teaching the same technologies to small kids, and then suddenly there's a big jump when they come up into mature education. Again, less bureaucracy, and we think that in time this will lead to increased intelligence, and increased intelligence we think is the best way to a sustainable society. The environmental impacts will be lessened with all these new technologies. We think there will be a confidence in social technology due to this increased education. And finally, less social and educational inequality on a global scale. And we just added some quotes about what we thought about it being manufacturing specific. We think that the industry needs to think of a quadruple bottom line, where the fourth P in People, Planet, Profit is progress. We don't want to hinder progress. And progress is absolutely needed for us to keep jobs in Europe. And regarding the economic sustainability, our group has the idea that there is no economic sustainability without social sustainability and energy. So we have to solve those problems in parallel. So our group would like to thank you for the attention, and I hope the stretch did you good.